have to be this way. Hey, girl. Down on your luck. You get a podcast, you can still terrorize people. And no, I do not want to.
And I think we were just hit so hard at the beginning with a lot of mistruths that I made the choice to not read anything, positive or negative. It just didn't make sense, and instead we focused all of our energies just on nurturing our relationship.
On us. Yeah.
On us.
We hear Meghan say that she's chosen not to read anything,
positive or negative.
but yet the documentary is almost exclusively about her reaction to things she's read. This discrepancy is worth noting.
To see this institutional gaslighting.
I wasn't being thrown to the wolves, I was being fed to the wolves. You would just see it play out. Like a story about someone in the family would pop up for a minute, and they go, we gotta make that go away. But there's real estate. On a website homepage, there is real estate there. I went, oh my God.
So Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are seriously not okay right now, and it's all because of what Jon Stewart just said. And no, this wasn't just a casual joke. It was a full-on roast that had the internet spinning. If you missed it, buckle up, because this one's wild. On The Daily Show, Jon Stewart didn't hold back. He compared Meghan Markle to a mini Brigitte Macron, which wasn't meant as a compliment. He joked that Meghan, like France's First Lady, has a habit of keeping her husband in check. Hard. His punchline? That both women are pro-level at putting their husbands in their place. Boom, Twitter exploded. Memes flew, GIFs were born, and the internet split between laughter and eye rolls. But here's the thing. This wasn't just a joke. It was a direct hit at Meghan's super polished image. Jon summed up what many people have whispered for years, that Meghan's the one pulling the royal strings, while Harry drifts farther from his family and the public. That mini Brigitte line? It wasn't random. It was clever, biting, and based on how both women are seen as taking center stage while their famous husbands fade into the background. Insiders say Meghan was furious and totally humiliated. This is someone who's always championed female empowerment and being real. So to her, this felt like more than a dig. It felt sexist and cruel. But strangely, the public didn't exactly rush to her defense this time. Maybe because deep down, Stewart's joke hit a nerve. Meghan's carefully built brand, from her now canceled Netflix cartoon to her podcast, has often been criticized as out of touch, overly controlled, and way too focused on Meghan.
Do you watch the royal shows on TV, like The Crown or Bridgerton or any of them?
I watched Bridgerton.
Yeah?
Yeah, Bridgerton's a great show.
So
That's
good.
a period piece also, and I love Shonda Rhimes shows, so yes.
And here's the tea. People close to the Sussexes claim that she's a malignant narcissist who loves being the center of attention while still playing the victim. You know the drill. The palace is too mean. My castle's too small. I'm still royal even if I can't call myself Her Royal Highness. And yes, she allegedly still puts that title on her stationery. Meghan may have tried to rewrite her story through her projects and her image, but Jon Stewart just flipped the script, and now everyone's watching.
It's fun, so many good songs, and I've become that mom where I'm like sitting around with friends and I start singing like, Tyrannosaurus, that's the chorus, Tyrannosaurus. I was like, what am I singing? Oh my gosh, I'm singing Storybox. I'm singing Storybox. I am not singing Beyonce in that.
Now, if you're someone who's ever scrolled past a Meghan Markle headline and thought, why does everyone hate her so much? Then today's deep dive is just for you. Because trust me, this story isn't just about royal gossip or tabloid drama. It's about one woman, one prince, and one royal exit that set off an international firestorm. By the end of this video, you'll understand why Meghan Markle went from being a glamorous duchess-to-be to becoming one of the most criticized women in modern media. Whether you love her, can't stand her, or are simply curious, this isn't just a story about royalty. It's a warning tale about what happens when modern ambition collides with centuries-old tradition and loses. Now, before anything else, let's dig a little deeper into Meghan's life before she met Harry, because understanding her background is key to unraveling the whole story. Before the royal spotlight hit, Meghan was an actress, trying to make her mark. Her big break came with the hit TV show Suits, which gave her a decent fan base and helped her step out from smaller Hallmark roles. But Meghan wasn't just acting. She was also building her personal brand. A few years before crossing paths with Prince Harry, she launched a lifestyle blog filled with the kind of content that was all the rage in the 2010s. Think travel hacks, fashion tips, recipes, and motivational posts. This was classic influencer territory, and it showed Meghan was savvy about crafting an image and connecting with an audience. Then came July 2016. a pivotal moment. Meghan, who was divorced at the time, was visiting London for Wimbledon and staying at the ultra-exclusive Soho House, an invite-only club where celebrities and business moguls mingle. Rumor has it she was on the lookout for a British man and actively pitching herself and her brand to a top talent agency, hoping to boost her career even further. At this point, Meghan was already seen by some as ambitious, maybe even climbing the social ladder by design. Enter Prince Harry, the perfect British royal bachelor. Their meeting sparked private dating and subtle Instagram hints that soon turned into full-blown headlines. Meghan graced the cover of Vanity Fair in October 2017 with a headline, "Wild About Harry," instantly stirring up comparisons to Princess Diana. The British public, still emotionally tied to Diana's legacy, reacted with mixed feelings, especially since Meghan's fashion choices began echoing Diana's iconic looks. At first, many thought this American actress and British prince match was a fairy tale come true. But as the wedding day neared, scrutiny ramped up. Meghan's engagement photos revealed her wearing a $75,000 dress, an eye-popping price tag that felt out of touch amid the UK's growing cost of living crisis. Meanwhile, other royals were being lauded for thriftiness and reusing outfits, making Meghan's extravagant look even more glaring. At the same time, Meghan's complicated family history started leaking to the press. Her parents' bitter divorce and rocky relationships with several siblings became tabloid favorites. Oddly enough, none of her family except her mother appeared at the wedding, raising questions about her true support system. The palace was not immune to gossip either, with leaks suggesting Meghan was difficult behind the scenes. Stories about her making Catherine, Princess of Wales, cry over flower girl dresses and demanding off-limits jewels started circulating. One bizarre rumor even claimed she insisted the musty old castle chapel get air fresheners. After the fairy tale wedding, things seemed to take a sharp turn. Not long after the big day, the joint offices of Prince William and Prince Harry and their wives split up, marking an unprecedented shakeup in royal history. The upheaval led Harry and Meghan to move their offices out of Kensington Palace and relocate alongside William and Catherine's team to Buckingham Palace. Along with the office shuffle came the launch of their own social media channels, a separate website, and swirling rumors that Meghan was bullying staff, rumors that many say played a big role in the split. But believe me, this was only the beginning of a long, complicated story that would see their royal relationship slowly unraveling in the public eye. And by October that same year, Prince Harry's cousin, Eugenie, was getting married, and Meghan had to shift her own wedding plans to avoid clashing. Harry and Meghan attended Eugenie's big day in May, where Meghan showed up in a maternity coat, though she hadn't officially confirmed any pregnancy rumors yet. The very next day, the press confirmed she was indeed expecting. This sparked frustration among some, who felt Meghan was drawing too much attention to Eugenie's event. And this only intensified when Meghan was spotted frequently touching her barely there baby bump on the first official overseas tour. She was overheard saying she couldn't believe she wasn't getting paid for the trip, comments that didn't set well with fans. The public's disapproval grew after a controversial moment in Fiji where Meghan stormed out an event organized by a group she had previously applied to but was rejected by. Long-awaited fans were left heartbroken and confused. On top of that, Meghan made another questionable choice, wearing blood diamonds gifted by a Saudi Arabian prince who was at the time in the headlines for allegedly ordering the murder of a journalist. And she wore those same diamonds again a few months later, as if deliberately flaunting them. Despite the controversies, the couple continued their royal duties after the birth of their son, Archie Harrison Mountbatten Windsor. They went on a second high-profile tour of South Africa on behalf of the Queen. This time, however, they were followed by a documentary crew, and Meghan gave a revealing interview. She shared candid reflections about how no one ever asked if she was okay during her time in the royal family, highlighting the intense difficulties she faced behind palace walls. It was a raw moment that opened a lot of eyes, but some later questioned if the interview might have been orchestrated as part of a bigger plan. Up until then, things seemed cautiously positive, but Christmas 2019 marked the beginning of the end. Harry and Meghan flew to Canada, a Commonwealth country and Meghan's home, for several years while filming Suits, and then blindsided the palace, media, and even their own staff by releasing a statement on social media. They announced their decision to step back as senior working members of the royal family to pursue what they called a progressive new role. Within this institution, Harry and Meghan announced their plan to step back as senior members of the royal family, aiming to become financially independent while continuing to fully support Her Majesty the Queen.
This is huge. Harry and Meghan are leaving the palace to become financially independent. And you see, this is what happens when you bring the first black woman into the royal family. Yeah. She looked at Harry and she's like, you need to get a job. You need a job. You a grown man. You can't still be living in your mama's house, Harry.
Many assumed their decision was motivated by a desire for privacy, but interestingly, that reason was never directly mentioned by them. Instead, it coincided with an ongoing legal battle Harry was facing over his private security, which only left the public confused about what the couple truly wanted after stepping down. Following discussions with the Queen, King Charles, and Prince William to figure out a path forward, Harry and Meghan moved to Los Angeles. There, they launched several charitable organizations alongside a for-profit production venture, partnering with big platforms like Netflix and Spotify. Although a show was teased by the streaming giant for winter 2020, nothing materialized, except for a brief holiday special featuring Harry and Meghan speaking for just a few minutes, followed by clips of celebrity friends talking about compassion, kindness, and other feel-good topics. Ultimately, that project was quietly shelved. By then, people were mildly intrigued but expected the couple to quietly go on their way. Then came the bombshell interview with Oprah Winfrey in March 2021. While Prince Harry's grandfather was dying in the hospital, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex sat down for their first in-depth interview. The first half focused exclusively on Meghan, who detailed every struggle she faced as a royal. She claimed to be the victim of bullying, said her children were denied royal titles because of their race, and alleged that the institution silenced her, confiscated her passport, and took her keys rather than welcoming her. Since then, many of these claims have been thoroughly debunked. For example, Meghan said the royal family refused to provide her mental health care, yet both Prince Harry and Prince William have been deeply involved in mental health charities. The claim that her children were denied titles due to racism was proven false. In reality, Archie and Lilibet weren't in the line of succession to receive titles until after Queen Elizabeth's passing in 2022, at which point they were granted them. Meghan also suggested their Netflix deal was never part of the original plan, but leaked proposals show the couple negotiating streaming deals as early as 2019. The Oprah interview shocked many of Meghan's fans, turning some from sentimental supporters into delusioned critics who saw much of her narrative as a crafted performance of victimhood. In the years since, their Netflix series revealed intimate details that contradicted the Oprah interview and highlighted Meghan's apparent disrespect for Queen Elizabeth, such as the infamous curtsy incident, which was more than a half-hearted gesture than a respectful bow. The public perception has been that Meghan lacks respect for the position she was given and is now trying to profit off the royal title the Queen gifted her, something that hasn't gone over well. Even more damaging have been the bullying investigations, reports including one launched by Buckingham Palace itself after Meghan's former staff spoke out, painting her as a dictator in heels. Allegations surfaced of Meghan shouting at staff, throwing tea, making wild accusations, and issuing unreasonable demands. Two of Hollywood's most respected outlets, The Hollywood Reporter and Vanity Fair, both investigated and confirmed serious claims about her toxic behavior and relentless drive for prestige. The high turnover rate among their staff was described as abominable. Despite efforts to silence these claims, the quality of Meghan's project seemed to reflect the chaos behind the scenes. Her Spotify podcast, Archetypes, lasted just one season in 2022 before being canceled due to poor ratings, over-editing, and a lack of compelling celebrity guests or insightful content. The behind-the-scenes drama was palpable. The mean girl persona paired with the constant victim narrative hasn't helped her show or brand. Meghan also faced backlash when she failed to do proper due diligence on her show's name, resulting in trademark issues and a public story about why the show had to change its name, raising questions about transparency and professionalism. While there hasn't been one massive public meltdown, though the Oprah interview arguably counts, Meghan Markle's downfall is better described as a slow simmering series of problems. When put together, they paint a disastrous picture. Her latest projects come off as pretty but vapid, offering no fresh insights. Most of her creative ideas could be found on Pinterest years ago. The Love Meghan persona feels like a mask covering a crumbling facade. For those unfamiliar with Meghan's past actions, comments, and disrespect, the intense criticism may seem like a smear campaign. But when you consider all the evidence, her authenticity is seriously in question. It's important to remember that Catherine, Duchess of Cambridge, was an outsider too when she married Prince William. She had no Instagram following or acting background and came from a middle-class family. Catherine faced just as much media scrutiny, if not more, yet she never played the victim. She stayed true to her values and maintained an authentic image as future queen, despite decades of bizarre rumors. That brings us to Jon Stewart. In case you didn't know, the acclaimed comedian, former host of The Daily Show, and longtime media critic recently chimed in on the never-ending drama surrounding Meghan Markle. And the way he framed it, let's just say, it made more than a few jaws drop. With his signature blend of dry wit and razor-sharp insight, Stewart zeroed in on the public's relentless obsession with Meghan, not just in the UK, but globally. He questioned why, despite stepping back from royal duties, she continues to live rent-free in the minds of the media and the public.
It doesn't have to be this way. So a plea to all the would-be terrorists that are out there. Hey, girl. Down on your luck? Girlfriend left you, job's a dead end, spending a lot of time watching whatever YouTube autoplay is showing you. And now you've got some ideas. How about you don't everybody? Just do what everybody else does in that situation. Get a podcast. That way, nobody dies. You get a podcast, nobody dies, you can still terrorize people. And no, I do not want to be on
public. What truly made headlines, though, was when Stewart compared Meghan Markle to none other than Brigitte Macron, the First Lady of France. Yes, that Brigitte. And no, this wasn't a random name drop for shock value. Stewart drew the comparison to highlight how different women across countries and cultures are often reduced to caricatures by the press, especially when they don't fit the traditional mold. And in Brigitte's case, the mold wasn't just cracked, it was completely shattered. Brigitte Macron, born Brigitte Macron, had a rather unconventional path to power in public life. Once a high school literature teacher in the French city of Amiens, she met her future husband, Emmanuel Macron, when he was just 15 years old. She was his teacher, a married mother of 3 at the time. Her relationship with Macron, which began years later when he was of age, was the subject of endless scandal, whispers, and tabloid frenzies. When Macron later became France's youngest ever president at 39, and Brigitte, 24 years his senior, stood by him as First Lady, the public had a field day. The jokes wrote themselves. The French press ran with it. International media couldn't resist. Now shift to Meghan Markle, an American actress once known for playing a paralegal on Suits, who entered the British royal family in a whirlwind of fairy tale glamour. When Meghan met Prince Harry, she didn't just fall in love, she stepped onto the most powerful stage in British life. And just like Brigitte, she made a series of strategic moves. She aligned herself with humanitarian causes, spoke of being a modern woman, and quickly went from TV actress to global icon. But the real criticism comes not from her marriage, but how she used her role after joining the royal family. Meghan knew the rules. She knew the crown valued privacy, discretion, and silence, and yet when things didn't go her way, she broke every royal protocol in the book. From airing family drama in public to crafting her and Harry's post-royal brand around victimhood. In that infamous Oprah interview, Meghan presented herself as fragile, broken, and blindsided. But many now argue that interview was scripted, carefully planned to reshape public perception. It wasn't about revealing the truth, it was about controlling the story. Even now, her every move feels curated. A podcast here, a documentary there, a potential memoir on the horizon. There's nothing inherently wrong with ambition, but what rubs many the wrong way is the performance of authenticity. Meghan's feminism feels branded. Her activism feels opportunistic. Her royal exit feels more like a PR campaign than a genuine cry for help. And the fact that she continues to compare herself to the late Princess Diana, a woman who was actually hunted by the press, makes it all feel hollow. Diana didn't try to become a brand. Meghan already was one before she ever wore a tiara. So when Jon Stewart joked that Meghan is being treated like the Joker, some laughed, but others paused. Maybe she isn't the Joker. Maybe she's just playing the long game like Brigitte did, but without the subtlety, without the grace. Brigitte stayed and endured. Meghan left and capitalized. And that's the key difference. One embraced duty despite scandal. The other turned scandal into a lifestyle. Maybe that's what this has always been. Not a fairy tale, but a masterclass in media manipulation. And Meghan Markle, she might just be the best student of the royal spotlight ever. Now, I want to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think Meghan Markle was actually similar to Brigitte Macron? Was it just a coincidence? Or did Meghan study the same playbook and use it to plan her rise into royalty? Do you think it was love or strategy? And more importantly, does that make her smart or manipulative? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and don't hold back. I want to know what you really think. And if you like this kind of deep dive, make sure to watch our other videos as well.